to make. I have no advice on that. Oh, Krishna. Okay, we're now streaming live, and we have Nahush here. Wow, we actually see you clearly. Oh, now you disappeared.
Oh, first time.
You're usually looking very mysterious. There's like some blue. You're like in a cave, like a yogi cave or something.
Yeah, I stopped in a hotel. I was driving back to Michigan, and the snow
Oh,
was so bad. I was driving from Texas. I saw a farm, a devotee farm.
oh, the one that Avadut Maharaj had he invited me to go there.
Well, he's visiting next week to that
Okay,
farm.
yeah,
It,
nice.
it's beautiful, a beautiful place.
Did you have a chance to visit Tapapunj Prabhu?
I didn't visit him, but I spoke with him,
Okay,
and he's gonna actually speak with Govinda Mata and
okay,
see if he can help her get something going on her place. I haven't seen her
nice.
place.
Yeah, no, everyone should consult with Tapapunj Prabhu. He's the Minister of Agriculture for ISKCON. I mean, not that I want to minimize the current one, Kalakanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still pretty blurry, Mahabodhi Prabhu, but we know that transcendental words will come out of your mouth no matter how blurry your lens is. Now Krishna has cut us off from your voice. We have to unmute you. Wow. Now you're going upside down and sideways. You do have a lot of mystic cities going on here.
Okay, that's about as best as it'll get because this camera, unless I do a reverse. Let me see something first.
I'm just wondering why it's blurry. And you took a cloth and you put it over the lens,
Yeah,
right?
I've got broken. It's broken, I think, somehow around there.
Oh, okay. Well, at least we see your face. It's just that part of it is, anyway, no big deal. But
Yeah, just turn it off.
I just want you to, no, don't shut it off.
Let's
We
shut
just,
it off.
I just want you to look as first class as possible. That's all.
But it's not looking first class because I'm like third class. So third class can't make it into first class very easily.
Well,
Many birds.
a blurry image is better than none at all.
Many
We
birds.
can see him.
Yeah.
Now we can.
I've got my 1990 Prabhupada Marathon t-shirt. Can you imagine? I held on to it for this many years.
Uh,
We produced it back then. You know, the BBT would put these
Yeah,
out. You remember? I don't
I
know.
got it. I can make you jealous.
Ah,
I have one from 1986.
really?
Yeah, from Mayapur.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, I don't want everyone to see what a fat belly I have. Bhaktisiddhanta did not like fat disciples, so I better stop showing my t-shirt. Okay.
I better not show myself at all.
This is from
Oh,
All right, you're recording. We have
this
this is
marathon.
from 1985 Christmas
Oh,
marathon.
oh, wow. That's one of the fancy ones. It looks like it's silk.
It's
Yeah,
not
she
a
got a
shirt,
silver.
it's a jacket.
I remember those.
That's the year I won the entire Christmas marathon for the
Really?
whole movement. And
Wow.
they gave me this jacket and a silver BBT ring.
Wow.
And I lost her ring.
The
Uh,
ring was big enough for him, but it was even a little bit too big for him. So
Wow.
We went to
they
see.
weren't expecting me to win.
Wow.
So the
How,
ring was for a big man.
how did you win the marathon? What was your program?
Well, it was actually in money. I won in Lakshmi points.
I,
We were selling cookies and brownies.
okay.
We
You
were
were distributing some.
we weren't allowed to distribute books because the places we went to, we could only do
I
cookies
see.
and brownies.
But I remember the days of the Lakshmi points where they actually even took precedence over books distributed.
Yeah, but
Anyway, that doesn't diminish your efforts. I'm sure a chunk of that went to the BBT.
oh, it did. It all
Oh, it
went to the
did. Yeah.
BBT. It was the
And
BBT.
Rameshwar Prabhu was the
Yeah,
the
Rameshwar.
head
Yeah.
in Los Angeles at that time, and there was some big collectors.
Yeah.
I,
I
I was,
remember
I
I
was
remember those jackets. I wanted one, but I'm not too envious of you. So I was just asking Mahabodhi Prabhu before we start the verse. I just wanted to hear from him that I've always, whenever I've sung this song or read those lyrics, that they were popular both with the gentle and the ruffians because they were not envious of anyone. And that's quite an accomplishment.
Well,
A
that's
pure
amazing
devotee.
in action.
Would you like to say something about that, my buddy?
You want me to?
Yeah, before we start the verse.
Om Ganya Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksu Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishwadaya Krishna Mustaya Buddhe Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nirvisesha Sunyavari Paskatya Deshatarni. Namo Vishwadaya Radhikaya Pratmane Sisimad Bhaktivedanta Narani Tinamine. Tesam Satyutanam Bhajatam Pratipurvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mama Parantite. So for a pure devotee means they have no false ego and they have no material personality in the sense everything for them is transcendental. One on a Uddhama Adhikar seems all devotees is equal, as everyone's serving Krishna but them. So when they're coming to the Madhyam, Uttama Adhikari platform, then they see everyone as spirit soul without any envy and without any distinction as far as recognizing those who's favorable, those who are more advanced, those who are on the same platform and level, and those who are less advanced that they preach to, and then those who are inimical who they avoid. So that the Madhyam, no matter if they're Madhyam Kanista, or Madhyam Uttama, they see that platform. But especially like the Goswamis and those who are egos, completely, there's no material contamination. Therefore, there's no association with this material body. They see everyone as spirit souls. And especially with the desire to try to help everyone. And why they were friends, because they could settle everything without any bias or without, based on principles and Krishna consciousness. Therefore, people could see the purity in them. So whether they're ruffian or whether they're great devotee, they saw in Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, Bhatta Raghunath and Jiva Goswami and Gopal Bhatt and Raghunath Das Goswami. They saw that, the superior persons and devotion that come to them. Therefore, in their association, they felt very blessed. And so therefore, without any pratishta, they would easily be mixture with all living entities, because they saw all with love and affection as parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. So that's a specific quality for those who are pure. They see everyone's engaged in Krishna service, except them, usually like that. And at the same time, they see everyone as very, very dear, because they're sons and daughters of Radha Krishna servants. May not be aware of it, but they're not working toward that path. Gradually, by anyone who has the association of Rupa Goswami or any of the six Goswamis, they will automatically make advancement toward the path of bhakti, simply by their casual association. What to speak of a prolonged association? What to speak of following their instructions? They're so powerful that the saffron particles are emanating even as whatever they speak, even from their glance. Even their glance is purified. So these things are so one in the presence of a person, even a ruffian, they can have their heart changed simply by the exalted presence of Param Bhaktas, just like Rupa Goswami and the six Goswamis.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that could be discussed all night long, but I'll start. I could make a comment, but I won't, just so that we can start the verse itself. I was thinking. Sorry, what?
No, if you don't mind, Panjika, the calendar for tomorrow is a big day.
Oh,
It's the beginning of spring. It's Vasanti. Panchami Vasanti.
tomorrow is the first day of spring.
Yes.
I got snow on the
Yeah.
ground here.
I have a frozen river in front. I have a frozen river in front of my apartment.
They told me that the groundhogs came out, so another 6 weeks.
Well, thanks for giving us hope. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
in India,
maybe
Oh,
they
it's
I
have
lost your
six.
your voice.
maybe it's
Go
spring in Hawaii, but certainly not up here in the mountains in West
I can't hear
Virginia. It's snowing.
What's going on?
What's the problem over there?
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
we
we got
lost
you.
your
We lost you.
voice.
Maybe too.
Okay.
So
So,
it's Vasanta Panchami. There would be a Saraswati Puja, but the Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi Dasi appearance, Vishnu Priya Devi, I'm sorry, appearance, Sri Pundarik Vidyanidhi appearance, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami appearance.
wow.
Talk about the six Goswamis that we approved. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur disappearance, Srila Raghunandan Thakur appearance, and Sri Srimad Bhakti Vivek Bharti Goswami Maharaj disappearance.
Wow.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur disciple. So
Jam
it's
packed
pretty
day.
good.
Prabhupada said every day is a festival in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I-
Yes.
okay,
Can I start?
Please.
please.
Okay. I had this whole book memorized at one time, at least the verses, when I was more of a sincere brahmachari. But anyway, great to review these verses. Text 3. So we're reading from Srila Sridhar Maharaj's Illuminations tonight, since we read Srila Prabhupada's the previous week. Utsaha nishchaya daryat tat karma pravartanat sangas tyagat satovrite sadbir bhakti prasidyati. Everyone can see the screen okay? Yes?
Yes.
You can make a little bit bigger. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry.
I can make it bigger.
A little tiny bit.
How's that?
Like
Yes. Perfect. Okay.
How's that?
That's good.
Better. A lot better.
Okay. Translation. Eagerness, confidence, forbearance, following the spiritual practices ordained by the scriptures, giving up the company of materialists, and following in the footsteps of the pure sadhus. These 6 practices enhance devotion. Illumination, or purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami. Eagerness should always be to serve the wishes of the highest plane of Krishna Bhakti. That is very, very rarely to be found in this mundane world. We shall be eager to catch the telegraphic language of the highest plane. What does that mean? The telegraphic language. Does that mean Shabda Brahma? Is that what he's referring to?
I'm
You
sure,
should
yeah.
explain what this means, the first couple sentences, because you have to explain that.
I'll leave that to you and Nurhari and
No, no,
Baba.
no, 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 no. This is your conference. You need to
Oh,
start
no.
off.
Putting me on the spot here. Yeah, because you can be eager for sense gratification, which is generally the case, or even those who are a little bit more elevated may be eager for merging or becoming liberated from the frustrations of material existence. But to be eager to serve the wishes of the highest plane of Krishna Bhakti. The wishes of the highest plane of Krishna Bhakti. That's very esoteric. What are the wishes of the highest plane of Krishna Bhakti? Anyabilashita shanyam jnana karmadya navritam anukulyena krishnanushulanam bhaktir uttama.
Yes.
Is that
What
is
is
that
that?
is that
And
acceptable?
what is that? And what is that highest plane?
Right, exactly. I was going to ask.
Raganuga Bhakti, correct?
Yeah, there you start to get hot.
You're warm. Keep going.
Oh no, I really set myself up tonight. Now everyone
I
can
know
fight.
this is how we learn.
Yeah.
You know, because okay, if you've expanded that, then Nihari can actually go a little bit farther.
Yes, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me. You still wanted to talk, but yeah, it's pointing is eagerness. This eagerness is lolyam, loba, and that's the definition about Raghunath Das about Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is that when we develop that eagerness to serve like Ragatmika or devotees in Goloka or in Vrindavan, in the land of Raj. And so Chaitanya Charitamrita speaks that if one is fortunate enough, and this is important, by association, to develop this eagerness, to serve the wishes of the plane of Krishna Bhakti. So if one is considered to be, yes, Radharani ultimately. And so one is considered to be very, very fortunate to have now come up to be eager to serve that plane. We call him plane, but to serve or follow in the footsteps, actually, better. Follow in the footsteps of those devotees, Ragatmika devotees. So the Nitya Siddha, so the eternally liberated souls. And that's why it says it's very, very rare to be found in this material world, in this mundane world. And this, I like his language, his telegraphic language of the highest plane. And that's a transmission. The other day, Goparinda Pal used a word we all thought he came out with, but ecstatified. It's like electrified. There's electricity all around us, but we need the agent. We need the expert that will be able to control that electric power, and we can, it's everywhere, and then we can, turn on the switch. So we need to depend on those devotees who are already coming from there or have awakened that Raganuga Bhakti. I was just trying to read. Can you put back the words?
I'll just finish the paragraph. There's only one more sentence.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it'll be your turns to read. If Mahabodhi, I appreciate his taking the role of being the professor here. I kind of like that. But I was thinking, you know what? I have a feeling we're going to read maybe 2 paragraphs tonight, because I know Mahabodhi can go very, very deep into just a few words. But anyway, I'm not. I don't want to get in the way of bhakti here. I don't want to be an impediment. So
I'll be quiet. I was going to go deeper into that.
yeah.
So
No, please do. I just want to finish at least one paragraph tonight. So let me
go
just.
ahead, and then Baba Trini should speak before me. So
Okay. So I'll just finish. This stuff. Okay. So then he says we must try to catch that, and be subservient to that. And what is that? The telegraphic language of the highest plane, the wishes of the highest plane of Krishna Bhakti, to serve the wishes of the highest plane of Krishna Bhakti. Okay. We must try to catch that and be subservient to that. That should be the nature of our quest and the utilization of our energy. Commentary by Her Grace Srimati Bhavatrini Devi Dasi.
Can you put the words back up? I really am not qualified. But
Okay, go ahead.
But if you're going to go to qualifications, well, I'll have to hang up also. So
I shouldn't be here.
Whatever you're inspired to say, Bhavatrini, when you read hear these words, what comes to your mind?
Well, when I see the highest plane of Krishna Bhakti is devotion, service to Krishna, and in Krishna consciousness, we're personalist. So the highest plane seems a little impersonal, but the personal form of the highest plane of Krishna Bhakti is, of course, Srimati Radharani. And her service is very rare, but in the material world, you rarely see a person whose eagerness is focused on Krishna consciousness. And the verse which I don't know, that you quoted, Gora. What is it?
Anyabilashita shunyam jnana karmadyanavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. That pure bhakti has to be free from the desire for fruitive activities and from mental speculation, jnana.
That's the definition of bhakti, and this was the most quoted verse by Srila Gurudev. But not only that, I just recently found out today it is the most quoted verse by Srila Prabhupada and throughout all of his literatures as well.
Really?
Wow.
Yes. So Gurudev said, unless we understand this verse, we will understand bhakti, because it's what the distinction of pure bhakti is. We should all know this, whether it doesn't matter who we're initiated by, but this is important to understand. For us to reach the sadhya, the goal, we have to know what is not only the process, we have to know what is the goal, and what does that look like? What is the distinction from Aropa Siddhi Bhakti, Jnana Siddhi Bhakti, and Sangha Siddhi Bhakti, and what? Pure Bhakti.
What is Aropa Siddha Bhakti? Aropa?
Aropa Siddhi Bhakti is a type of bhakti that's kind of like material activities, but used in a devotional thing. You may be serving cows, you may be doing some, you may be doing something. Sometimes it's even considered like book distribution, because it's not direct service to Krishna, but it's within in the realm of service, because the pure devotee is given it in the realm of siddhi. So, but it's not at the level of Sarup Siddhi Bhakti, which means one of the 9 direct processes of devotional service. So that's distinctions are actually also given in these type of bhaktis, but I don't want to get into that's a whole other lecture.
Yep.
But we have to know what pure devotional service is, and that's what that verse is.
The other verse was Prabhupada would call it this Krishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti as pure bhakti. But yet we were reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We have another group. Another group. We listen. Madhukar Prabhu is the son of Rishabdev, our god brother. Is disciple of Brahmachari, amazing personality. He's reading Srimad Bhagavatam from Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam, actually. And that verse was quoted again by Srila Prabhupada, and we're towards the end of, we're in the 8th canto now.
Reading about Mohini Murti.
And yes, and so many times, like you said it's Mahabodhi that is one of the most quoted, or the most quoted verse. We were here in Hawaii, actually. We would spend like a month and a half with Srila Narayan Maharaj, and we would go, so we became kind of part of the team. We would go see him every day. We fly from here, Big Island, and so he had his team learn. I remember 2 very important verses. That was one of them, and the other one is Anarpitam Charim Chirat by Rupa Goswami Pad. And very, very important that he wanted his disciples, direct disciples, and others to know this definition of pure bhakti. So yeah, you're right. So,
Hari and Bavatrini, would you like to read the next?
Can I give a few comments on that first piece?
Yeah, he said he wanted me to speak before he commented, so I said something and then he didn't get a chance.
Excuse me.
So you want to put up the verse again?
Okay. The actual verse?
Make it bigger. I can't. So a couple things. So you could say a whole lot on this entire verse. Take each one of the aspects, eagerness, and forbearance, but like we've heard that from the person who is reading the commentary on this verse at the very beginning of your class. But there's a couple things. I think I appreciate Baba Tarini did hit on the nose. What is that wishes of the highest plane of Krishna Bhakti? That is Srimati Radhika, and the wishes of those highest planes comes into the form of pure devotional service. And those enunciating that is also the telegraphic message that's coming down through her sakis, her manjaris, into this material world. And to catch that plane, that's catching this material plane is one level, but the plane of Braj Bhakti is another level. So on that, to catch that is like the goal of what we're trying to do in this material world.
Your voice is going all weird, like I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, not to say, no. I was going to I'll stop on that thing, at that point. There's eagerness is very important, because eagerness means loilam, just like Narahari said. But eagerness here specifically, when you go into the eagerness platform, it means, when does that loilam come? So we all want to develop this greed. This is for devotees that are interested in this Vraj Bhakti. They want to develop this greed. But it's explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti that this greed will come when one gets to the place of asakti, and in that there becomes spurtis, and then you get the opportunity of visiting the form of Sri Krishna, you see. And then from that point, you'll get into the form, then qualities, then you'll have the qualities, and next comes the associates. So when you see the associates and the devotee is thinking, God, they're serving so wonderful. I want to serve like that. I also want to attain that association like that and service, because it's so blissful. At that point, that is when this loilam, this eagerness to have this type of association, this type of service, means the development of loilam, and that moves it from there, asakti into bhav, into those platforms, and how it goes up farther. So those are part of the systematic movement of devotion within the heart.
Yeah. I found this verse, actually. Vrindavan Vilasini sends me all this nectar stuff, and it's a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasya bhaktir bhagavati haro nisreya seshvare vikridato mritam bodo kim shudai katako dakai. And purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is 6:12:22. A person fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. This is the translation of the verse, I'm sorry. A person fixed in the devotional service of the Lord, of the Supreme Lord Hari, the Lord of the highest auspiciousness, swims in the ocean of nectar. For him, what is the use of the water in small ditches? And purport said, Vitrasura has formerly prayed, Bhagavatam 6:11-25, Nanaka prishtam na cha parameshtyam na sarva bhoma na rasa di patyam. I do not want the facilities for happiness on Brahma Loka, Swarga Loka, or even Dhruva Loka, not to speak of this earth or the lower planets. I simply want to return home back to Godhead, unquote. This is the determination of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is never attracted to any exalted position with this material world. He simply wants to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead like the inhabitants of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani, the Gopis, Krishna's father and mother, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, Krishna's friends and Krishna's servants. He wants to associate with Krishna's atmosphere of Vrindavan's beauty. These are the highest ambitions of a devotee of Krishna. Devotees of Lord Vishnu may aspire for a position in Vaikuntha Loka, but a devotee of Krishna never aspires even for the facilities of Vaikuntha. He wants to return to Goloka Vrindavan and associate with Lord Krishna in his eternal pastimes. Any material happiness is like water in a ditch, whereas the spiritual happiness eternally enjoyed in the spiritual world is like an ocean of nectar in which a devotee wants to swim. So I
So
thought that was,
how are you relating that verse to this verse?
well, on the eagerness of what does he want, Vritrasura. So I'm thinking of the verse, the eagerness. What is this Raganuga? We have to develop, like you said, and probably Gurudev will say, we have to develop eagerness for what? For Raganuga Bhakti. Because without it, I mean, we cannot attain, that's like Chaitanya Charitamrita says. And if you follow, we worship the Lord in His opulence and Ashwarya. Ashwarya is what maintains Vaikuntha, so we go to that destination. But if we worship the Lord following the footsteps of the Brajavadus and the inhabitants of Braja, and so that's what
So that's
Vikrasura wants to do. The highest thing, he said, he wants to go back. Of course, we're going through the back to Godhead, and I don't want to open that one. But this, what I thought it was important, is that Prabhupada says, is that we want to associate with the Supreme Personality, like the inhabitants of Vrindavan, and he names number one, Srimati Radharani, the gopis, Krishna's father and mother, and like that. So
yes.
I was going through a letter the other day, and Prabhupada sent in this letter a long time ago, and he's saying, as you develop your maturity in Krishna consciousness, more and more you'll be attached to the land of Braja.
Yes. So I was asking that question because it leads into because the vision that's being prepared there is when the devotee, like I said earlier, when the devotee sees the wonderful realizations and service that one who has that taste, that one, then he desires it. So there's another verse, and I'll just make it real quickly. Krishna's tat bhakta karunyamata lobaika hetuka pusti margataya kaschid tvam raganochate. Lobha, which is that eagerness, is produced solely by the mercy of Krishna and his pure devotees. Devotion initiated by such lobha is defined as Raganuga Bhakti. So the question on that is, this lobha can only either be given by Krishna or by their pure representative. And because Krishna generally doesn't touch this material realm, the mercy incarnation Kripa, he's given to his pure devotees. Therefore, how do you get lobha? Only by hearing and serving at the lotus feet of the transcendental personality, Sri Guru, who has that very love inculcated in their heart, and then therefore they can distribute that mercy to one even unknowingly. Hare Krishna.
Horrible. In listening to the last 3 days, there was 3 days of. You were there, Mahabodhi.
Yeah, I was in several discussions. Okay.
Yeah, so there was, and one of the things that Shamarani touched on, Didi, was that um, what is the Purnam or Purna, or the complete, this is I think by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who is a complete guru? Because we have Mahajans, we have gurus like Prahlad Maharaj, should consider guru. But a complete form of guru is that one who is actually engaged in the service of Srimati Radhika. And so we had, and she was analyzing this just from Guru Vastakam, from the prayers, Nikunja Juno Ratikili Siddhai, and like that's a perfect, that's what our guru line is, actually. The ones who really can give us complete, we can say Krishna consciousness, a complete attainment of the highest, is actually the manjaris, because they are the ones who are the most intimate with the divine couple, especially with Radhe. Then what is our line coming from? Manjaris, Rupa Manjari, Rupa Goswami Vipad. That's our line. In the last discussion we had here, we were reading about Dwarka and like that, and the devotee brought, I think, a question, so I don't know if I remember it correctly, but he was saying that, you can desire whatever you desire, you can attain, and like that. But I was going to say, like something Gurudev used to say, if you want to worship Gopal or any other, little Krishna or any other aspect, then you're in the wrong sampradaya if you want to go to the opulence of Dwarka and like that. And the other thing is that look who Krishna sends his most intimate or confidant in Dwarka is Uddhav. What does he do? He sends him to Braj to imbibe what is the highest, to see the behavior of the gopis, especially of Radhe. So, but that was the last thing. But sorry, go ahead.
No, this verse is so important because it points first to what that pure bhakti is, that you have to understand that. And then it says the goal of one's devotional life is to obtain that transcendental message of the highest plane, which is the seva and the Hari Katha, that's coming from the pure devotees, the Manjari servants, who are speaking about whom? The transcendental messages of the Brajadevis and their association with with Radhika's partner Krishna. So in Chaitanya's line, of course, the devotees are more inclined toward Radha Seva, and through their relationship with Krishna, is not directly, but seeing that Krishna's her paramour, her lover is Krishna, so therefore they have their relationship to Krishna through Radhika. So this whole thing is being put in. We didn't explain forbearance and all those other things, but in this first verse, it's actually giving that what is that pure bhakti and seeking out what is that highest plane. Otherwise, devotees, if they don't know this, they'll think it's okay. I can go to Vaikuntha or Nishrinaloka or Ayodhya, and it's all one. Everyone, go. But actually, the desire to obtain Braja Bhakti is, like he said in that verse, very, very rare. Very, very rare. So it's spoken in some hidden words. It's some hidden language in there that unless one has that adhikar, that have that type of association, they won't understand the meaning of just this purport, the first paragraph.
Right. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Gaur. You go ahead. I'll be quiet.
I'm very eager to hear from Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Not that I don't value hearing from all of you. At the same time, Narahari Prabhu just mentioned a comment, which then opened up a question in my mind. So I don't really know how much reading we'll do tonight. But anyway, my question is, I just wanted to qualify the statement. Did you say, who was it that said, if you're interested in Dwarka Leela, you're in the wrong Sampradaya? Who said that?
Srila Narayan Maharaj.
Srila Narayan Maharaj said that.
Not interested in it, but interested
is that
in
what you
being
want to
part of
attain?
it, if that's what you're trying to attain. Srila Prabhupada wanted us to.
I just read, what is the highest thing to go back to? What does a pure devotee want to go? We need to know our goal.
I understand. So, okay, so the way I'm just explaining how I'm processing this. I don't know how many chapters there are in the Bhagavat Purana in the 10th canto on Dwarka Leela. I'm not sure. What is it? 10 chapters?
It's not that we're not interested in what Krishna did in Dwarka and that we don't want to hear about it, but our goal is to become a servant of the servant of the servant. And who is that servant? It's Radha. And how can we serve Radha? So the gopis are aware of everything going on in Dwarka. And in Dwarka, they hear Krishna crying and calling out the cows' names in his sleep. And it's not that we're.
In other words, Krishna is sort of showing himself to be homesick.
No.
Yes.
Can I
Yeah.
try
Yes.
that just a little bit?
Yes.
Okay,
Please.
so if we want to understand, then what is it that a goal is? In other words, the whole idea is to become one-pointed. So if you want to obtain Vaikuntha Loka, particular situation with Lord Narayan, that's not Maya. But the difference is that type of service in Aishwarya is primarily been given previously by Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, and the lines of and many of the bhaktas before. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came specifically, and it's explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he specifically came to give this bhakti shriya, this relationship of servitude of manjaris to Radha as the highest goal that a jiva can obtain. It's not been given before. It hasn't been given in any of the other avatars. It hasn't been given by any of the alwars or any other bhaktis. And certainly all those goals, like when you read the Pamandas from the alwars, their goal is to go to Lakshmi and Narayan and go into Vaikuntha place. We're not saying that's Maya, that's a spiritual world, but here very special in the highest format in which Sridhar Bhakti-Rakshak Sridhar is saying, this highest conception of love, this highest conception of truth is given in this Braj Dham, this Braj, and the highest format of that love is exemplified by the service of Srimati Radhika and her loving relation with Krishna, and in the relationship with Krishna and Radhika and the Braja Gopis. And this is such a high taste and relationship love. It's only given one time in all of the entire creations and multitudes of creations and destructions through Lord Brahma's time. Only once during the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he comes into this world, only once in very, 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 very long time is this even hinted at. So he gave this to the opportunity, and this sampradaya, this Brahma Madhva Godia Sampradaya, specifically coming through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is giving this mercy through the world, through both Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and the followers, our Manjari followers, are the preachers, and they're being sent their direct Shakti of Srimati Radhika, because you can't give the service of Srimati Radhika without yourself possessing it, and you can't give the love, the mercy that she possesses, that unless you have been given it yourself. Therefore, they're coming mercifully into this material plane to assist and give that mercy to the fallen jivas, even without qualification, to be able to go back to the highest plane. Although we know, even that say someone didn't have any secrete, you didn't have pious things, actually to be born at this time, to render service at this time, to be accepted at this time, is not by a fluke. Many, it's explained, many demigods are desiring to come into the families of the Vaishnavas at this particular time, during the, I don't know about this particular year, but at least this particular time in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where you can go and obtain this Braj Bhakti and this Hari Katha to be able to get there without having to go through millions and millions of lives and so much practice. So, this is being given to those devotees that can take this up and catch hold of this philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the boon that's given to them. So if a devotee of Gaudiya philosophy doesn't understand this, then he's not yet really enjoying the Gaudiya society. He's not really yet. So if he has desire, Prabhupada build a house that all could live in. So in that relationship, yes, there are devotees that are aspiring to go to Vaikuntha. There's devotees that are aspiring to go to Ayodhya. There's devotees that are aspiring to go to Nishringaloka and other locations. We understand that. But the specific aspect that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give is this Radhadasya. And therefore, so it doesn't get lost, it's being represented again. So chanting and rendering devotional service in this Raganuga Pravritti, it's the same bhakti as you'd see in sadhana, but the mentality and the thinking and the process of it is different. Therefore, it's practicing in such a way with the hopes of desiring this loyalty, this greed that can be given by the spiritual master, so that we could, without really having qualifications, we may desire so strongly that qualification may be given to us in the some core process of our lives. And that's what I would say the specific aspect is for this.
You mentioned Godia, so the definition of Godia is one who worships Radhe. Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So all the other sampradayas are Vaishnavas and they practice bhakti. But it's the introduction of Rasa Bhakti by Rasacharya Rupa Goswami Pad that we got a chance to now get up to the highest of highest. But that makes us Gaudiya. Otherwise we're Vaishnavas, it's fine. But what does it mean, Gaudiya? Gaudiya means one who worships Radhe. Rishabhanu Nandini Radhe ki jai.
Right.
I have a question on just the words. Like every Sanskrit word has at least three meanings. And lolyam is not a transcendental word. We were just reading. I forget the
Eagerness?
definition. No, it's not eagerness. It's like greed, just
Greed.
like calm is lust.
Yeah.
But what is the difference between lolyam and loba? I thought loba was a stronger word.
Boba means greed.
Okay, so
It's about the same.
yeah,
But what's the distinction?
yes.
Can you have greed for grilled cheese sandwiches and ice cream?
Oh no, I
Or can
understand
you-
that part. I just
Yeah.
wonder what the difference is between lolyam and loba.
I'm not qualified to tell you. I don't know
Oh,
this.
okay.
I'm not qualified either, but they seem to be synonyms to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Just,
All right.
But I'd like to ask another question to Mahabodhi Prabhu.
You
and-
accept the first answer. That's the first question.
Yes, I accept it. So based on accepting it and based on the fact that Radha Dasyam is our goal, then it would almost seem that reading about Dwarka Leela is just a diversion because this hasn't got anything to do with Radha Dasyam, and it seems to be that using that understanding.
The Bhagavatam's
Using
meant
that
for everyone.
understanding, it would seem that Dwarka Leela is just a filler in Bhagavat Purana because that's not our goal. And if we study Dwarka Leela, we're not in the right sampradaya. So why are we even reading?
No, that's not.
yeah, no, but that's a very good question, man. Devotees who say, well, everything's the same, it's okay. It's in Bhagavatam, how come Rupa Goswami writes about it, Ujjwal Nilamani, there's a whole section about Dwarka, is it?
It's such a
I don't know. I haven't
But-
entered.
So what we learn is that the wives of Krishna were the shadow,
Expansion.
They're
The
shadows.
expansions.
They're shadows
or shadows actually, and the expansions of
of Radharani.
Radharani actually. The first vyuhas are the 8 principal gopis, but then we have Satyabhama, which is actually is Radhe, is her expansion too. But if you look at the whole purpose, I mean, you can see how they all speak when you study Dwarka and the inhabitants and how they felt about Krishna is they're all pointing to Vrindavan. When they're talking among themselves, the ladies in the quarters is Mother Rohini, and they're describing Vrindavan and all the inhabitants. Krishna there is Subhadra is guarding the door. Mahabodhi spoke about this too, and that's what is the appearance of Lord Jagannath is that. And Krishna comes with Balaram, and Subhadra stops and says, "You can't go in." Okay, so we'll stay at the door, and they like, straining, but they're hearing all
They're
this
hearing
description,
Rohini describe Braja pastimes,
and then the gopis,
Specifically the
especially,
gopis.
specifically.
specifically that. So they melt. So everything is
That's how
Uddhava.
Lord
Why is
Jagannath
Uddhava sent
appears.
to
One of-
Vrindavan? Krishna wanted somebody that he could talk to. We all do. We all want that, don't we? I mean, especially in our youth, guys, we want to have a buddy or somebody we can have a confide on. So Krishna sends Uddhava for that particular reason to Vrindavan to learn so many, actually promoting him to highest, ras, to Madhurya ras that
He
is.
couldn't pass the test.
And the first, he fails a little bit, but then he ends up staying about 3 months or so. And when he gets back, he can understand a lot, and he prays to be born in Braj, even as a little blade of a bush or anything that the gopis, might trample on, or that he might get the dust of the feet of the Brajavadus, the gopis. So that is very important. That we cannot say.
When you get it,
Rasangi would like to speak something. Welcome, Rasangi. Obeisances to
you
you.
know, Haribol. Thank you so much. I love what you're talking about. I've listened to what came before, but we can't place ourselves artificially in a position that we're not ready for. So we don't want to focus exclusively on Radha Dasyam. It's our goal. It's our worshipable goal. And we never want to forget that. But we relish first canto of Bhagavatam. We want to have the foundation very solid. Otherwise, we're going to be inappropriate. It's going to not work out. You know what I mean? So we don't want to jump over. And we need to study all of the wonderful scriptures we have and Dwarka pastimes as well. But we know that the Goswamis and the higher end devotees only want to hear Braj pastimes ultimately. But that's not where we're at. That's not where I'm at anyway.
No,
But no, that's
not
a misunderstood thing. Yesterday, when we're hearing from Siddhanti Maharaj, there's from the very beginning, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, Lord Brahma is referring to Krishna as Gopal. I mean, but because I don't know exactly what words, but he's
First verse is a glorification of Radharani.
Exactly.
The first verse.
So,
the first verse of the Bhagavatam.
So it is our goal, Rasangi. It's not that we say, no, we don't want to form a Gopi club. This is not about a Gopi club, but it's about following our. I was just reading what Prabhupada was saying, what that eagerness is. That we want to go back to Braj. Prabhupada in a letter writes about as you mature, you'll be more and more attracted to the land of Braj and their inhabitants.
She's just saying that the higher class devotees don't want to hear other scriptures, but that's not true.
No, because
everything is Rashik for them.
Yes, it's like Lord Chaitanya will go to the Tota Gopinath, to the Aitota, the gardens there next to the deity of Gadadhar Prabhu, and Gadadhar Gadadhar Pandit would read the seventh canto, and they were crying like anything. They were just absolute ecstasy, so much so that I think as a devotee Srinivas, or he wants to get a copy, but all the copies were all washed away
from their tears.
And there was the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto. They didn't even touch, the 10th canto. But
so if I can address part of her question, Rasangi is correct that you have to build a foundation.
Right.
The foundation is there, but so therefore we don't ignore that, because the Sukriti that's coming from it, that they're all educational platforms of how to develop from hearing and association. The anarthas and the misconceptions and the faith, the shraddha grows, and it has to develop. But it also depends on something that you didn't mention. So sadhana, someone put in the thing first, sadhana, but we have to know what the goal of sadhana is. That we're missing, it depends the association. Okay, so by association, without the appropriate association, then shraddha by itself will not attract Krishna. It doesn't attract Krishna. It's like it's devotional service in a sense done by fear. If I don't do this, the regulations, it's like it's not as tasteful as raganuga, which is spontaneous love. So therefore, what is the distinction? A devotee, unless they have good qualifications from a previous births or high association, generally can't move into that platform. But there's a thing called raganuga vritti. By the association of elevated bhaktas, like Srila Prabhupada, like Srila Guru, like Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila, by their association, by this kripa, which we just read that verse, that this lobha is produced solely by the mercy of Krishna and his pure devotees. That drop of kripa comes within the heart. Therefore, one can, by association, start relishing the different activities. Not that they think,
You froze.
you know, but what happens is that it's not the way around either.
Your voice is out there somewhere in lost in space.
You won't be. All right, I'll be quiet then. Sorry.
No, I don't know what happened. It's a bad connection.
It was really good. The only thing that I was addressing is I liked the way you put that, how honest you were, Gaur Prabhu. You know, it's not like, wow, well, why are we studying anything else if we're all just focused on Radha Dasya? But, you know, again,
Why read about Dwarka? It's just a distraction if the whole goal is to be with assisting the Manjaris and the Gopis in Vrindavan, then it just seems Dwarka Leela. I mean, I'm just saying from that perspective. So the other part of my question is, then what's the purpose of the Dwarka Leela? Is it also to remind us actually?
It's separation also, right? I know what is it? Because Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, but his expansion will leave. And when you lead, you know, Gopal Champu, Krishna is Narad is telling him, you have to do all these duties, and they go, okay. Then I go back to Vrindavan? No, you have to do this then. Well, then can I go? No, you'll have to do this. So he's telling him all the things he has to do because he's also coming as the Yuga Avatar, right? So he has so many different relationships. There's these are also devotees in different relationships, and that's the other thing. There's devotees and different types of devotees that have different types of inclinations to want to worship God in a particular way. So Krishna is fulfilling them. As they surrender and marry with them accordingly. So so if one wants to worship Krishna a particular way, in a particular type of mood of friendship, some are in the mood of opulence. Like we hear in the Pandavas, we're princes and, you know, very much in opulence. We're in Braja, there's a bunch of opulence, but it's overshadowed by Madhurya, by love and beauty. So the question is, according to, you know, what is the different divisions that Krishna has relationship with all of these different types of devotees. And of course, you know, many of them are expansions of as Krishna expands himself into Mathura, and overnight the Mathura, all of a sudden Dwarka shows up in the middle of the ocean, and it's already set there, and all the people wake up in the morning, they were no longer Mathura, they're now in Dwarka. So, you know, when we used to be asked the question, where do you want to go? You want to go to Mathura? I mean, you don't want to go, no. You want to go to Dwarka? No. You want to go to Yodhya, the Shringaloka? You want to go, you know, where? And then if the devotee says, I want to go to Braja, you know, Braja and serve in this way, then that is the highest conception. It doesn't mean the other conceptions are not valid conceptions. They're not where Krishna is there showing opulence and showing, you know, the wonderful, the unlimited activities as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that isn't, according to Lord Chaitanya, really a destination for us. Now, some devotees want to go there because Prabhupada took devotees from all over to those aspects. But that's not what the scriptures are telling us. If you read Jiva Goswami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, any of our line, Vishwanath Chakravarti, you know, Baladev Vidyabhusan, and you read Bhakti Siddhanta, all their goals are actually going to Braja, but they're very, very, very cautious in presenting this platform because it's also somewhat secretive, because Krishna, he only gives this Braja Bhakti because why? Krishna becomes controlled by love. He's not just gonna stick it out there for any Tom, Dick, and Harry that doesn't have any appreciation for him, because he can be controlled by that type of love. Therefore, there's so many different types of relationships, but only those who aspire it. And the only way you can really aspire it is to come in contact with one who actually has it.
Thank you, Baba Trini's got her hand up for a long time. I think her hand's going to break.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that all Krishna's activities and pastimes and associates and sadhus and demons, these are all very relishable. And in the 10th canto, when the last chapter, I believe, is the queens feeling separation for Krishna at night when he's asleep. And they're speaking to it's probably Satyabhama, I don't remember. But she's speaking to a black swan. And she's speaking like Radharani speaking to the bumblebee.
Okay.
So we are relish hearing about all of Krishna's activities. If you love someone, you want to know everything about him. Of course, you can never know everything about Krishna, but everything is relishable. And the Rupa Goswami was doing he was doing one play about Krishna. And Satyabhama came to him in a dream and told him to divide it into 2 plays, one about Braj and one about Dwarka. So he did that. But
Is that the Vidagdha Madhava, or is that Ujjvala Nilamani, or is that both?
It's
Lalita
Madhava.
Yeah.
And that's about Satyabhama. Yeah, and Ujjvala. But they're both relishable for the bhaktas. But then one other example that can be confusing is that Aniruddha Prabhu, the one that wrote the book Attaining God in This Very Life, and he chants like 3 lakhs a day most of the time, and he's just when you see him, you know, it's like being around a pure devotee. He is a disciple of Daita Madhava Maharaj, and he was actually having spurtis, doing manjari service and his spurtis, and his guru came to him in a vision and a dream and said, "No, you're Krishna's great-grandson." That's your relationship. So, you know, that's hard to understand. He's in our line, he's Godia, and he relishes all the philosophy and all the service with the manjaris and Krishna, but he's fixed in his relationship as a great-grandson, 1.5 years old.
I wanted to add on something, because Rasangi came after I read this thing, what Prabhupada is saying here. So I think it's apropos what you know, it's the 6th canto, and it's Vritasura speaking. And he's saying that a person fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord Hari, the Lord of the highest auspiciousness, swims in the ocean of nectar. For him, what is the use of the water in small ditches? And so Prabhupada goes on, and the purpose that Vritasura has formerly prayed, Bhagavatam 6:11-25, Nanaka prishtam na cha parameshtyam na sarva bhoma na rasa dipatyam. I do not want the facilities for happiness on Brahmaloka, Swargaloka, or even Dhruvaloka, not to speak of this earth or lower planets. I simply want to return home back to Godhead. Unquote. This is Prabhupada speaking now. This is a determination of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is never attracted to any exalted position within this material world. He simply wants to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like the inhabitants of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani, the gopis, Krishna's father and mother, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, Krishna's friends and Krishna's servants. He wants to associate with Krishna's atmosphere of Vrindavan's beauty. These are the highest ambitions of a devotee of Krishna. And it goes on, devotees of Lord Vishnu may aspire for a position in Vaikuntha Loka, but a devotee of Krishna never aspires even for the facilities of Vaikuntha. He wants to return to Goloka Vrindavan and associate with Lord Krishna in his eternal pastimes. Any material happiness is like the water in a ditch, whereas the spiritual happiness eternally enjoyed, and the spiritual world is like the ocean of nectar in which a devotee wants to swim. So yeah, Prabhupada always points out to Raja. I'm not saying let's do just the gopi a gopi club again that we don't want to hear anything else. But but if we follow the Rasik devotee, our spiritual master is instructing this thing. He said, where is the goal? The highest goal of a devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord, is that he wants to go back to Braja in any capacity. And so, yeah, they say the highest is Chaitanya Charitamrita, is the following the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan, especially Radha.
Do we have time to read? Because
I'm
actually,
sorry.
like
So
you
I
said,
hope so.
you
We've
wanted
read
to
one
hear
paragraph. We've read one
Okay.
paragraph.
All right.
And
All right.
yeah,
I'll go.
I'd like to hear from Srila Sridhar Maharaj.
I would too. I mean, Nahush has made many comments. We haven't read his comments. Our
Oh,
Nanda Patni has come. She's not read. She's not spoken anything. Uh, and
Narahari Devdas is here.
Narahari Prabhu should read something also. And Jai, Hari Krishna
hello,
Narahari.
Prabhu.
Long time no see. Hare Krishna. And
Mysterious Anne is here too. Hare Krishna, Didi.
Mysterious Anne comes, but she's very, she takes a mount of vrat. She never says anything. Okay, so Nahush, did you want to focus on your comments now, or would you like to go and read the book that we're reading?
No, let's read the book. My comments were simply as the discussion was going on. No need to go through it.
My comment in saying that I hope we'll read more than one paragraph. Unfortunately, Mahabodhi Prabhu has left, thinking. Anyway, it's hard to please everybody.
There is definition lowly.
I'm sorry to see him depart. But all right, there you go, Nahush.
Yeah, I read it. So Logan is not particularly towards anyone.
How to develop that with the contact of the
Before
sadhu.
you go further, our other readers don't know what you're talking about. How to develop what, Nahush?
This is Upadesharamrita, verse 3. How to develop the highest goal in bhakti, which is how to become a servant of the servant of the servant, and the person, how basically become a servant of Srimati Radharani, and learning how to reach our prayojana, the goal in bhakti.
Okay, thank you. Just so others know what you're talking about.
Sure. So we've just read one paragraph, so I'll continue on. So how to develop that? With the contact of the sadhu and with the help of the scriptures, we can try to increase that inner feeling, that inner demand. That inner demand can only be satisfied by Krishna consciousness. The source of eagerness is only from a real sadhu. We will find some interest to hear about the Lord from him. The proper beginning is there. The Bhakti school is independent of Varnashram or Jnana, etc. One may not be a wise man. One may not be a very energetic man. One may not be a master of opulence and other powers. Only the minimum is demanded from him, that he has a very earnest hunger. He must have the smallest taste for the Lord. He must find some sweetness, some taste in his words, in his affairs, when it is coming from a proper source through a genuine sadhu, a proper agent. That taste will take him farther and gradually into the highest domain.
Okay, I'd just like to stop for a second and just mention to Nanda Patni and Narahari Dev Prabhu and Anne that we're progressing through the Sri Upadeshamrita every Friday, and we've read Srila Prabhupada's commentary last week. Now we're looking at his godbrother's commentary, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, and the next week we'll be looking at the commentaries of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So we're doing an in-depth study, just so that you know what we're doing. And we're on verse 3, Utsahan Nishchad Daryat Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat. So thank you very much. Nanda Patni, would you like to read the next paragraph, please? Lolyam.
Lolyam api mulyam ekalam. The only passage, money, is our sincere inclination. the heart's natural flow, that is the passage, money, nothing else. Our sincere earnestness to get that is the only price we have to pay in advance. No other price but earnest desire. It is not to be purchased by any money or anything else which is acquired by so many formal practices in millions of births. Substance is necessary and not form. Form may be adopted only as much as it may connect me with that higher thing. Sarvadharma Parityajya, give up all phases of duty that you perceive as perfect. At once try to jump into the ocean of nectar. I am the ocean of nectar. Try to jump. That is the direct teaching. Our addiction to this or that, to vanaprastham, sannyastam, grihastadam, has a very negligent value. But earnest desire, that is to be acquired by any means. That is bhakti proper. Tatralolyam apimulyam ekalam janma koti sukriter nalabhyate. The only price to pay is intense eagerness, for that is not obtained even after millions of births. CC Madhya 870.
Thank you, Nandapatni. Is there anything that stands out for you in that paragraph that you just had?
Yeah, I love it. I love the sort of the crown jewel of earnestness. You know, earnestness, it strips away all these other sorts of approaches. I mean, it seems to be just a kind of very special area of the heart, you know, a very sincere area of one's heart to be earnest. That's what jumps out at me. Try to jump. Yeah.
Hari Baba Trini, anything from you before we move on?
We want to thank Nahush. He did put the definition. He looked up about the difference between loba and lobya.
Okay. Did you want to read that?
Nahush, are you
Yeah,
there?
I can quickly
Yeah.
define. I quickly looked up lobya on the Sanskrit dictionary. So lobha is more applied greed to like wealth.
Material
So lobha
things.
means having greed for wealth, and lolyam is a generic term for intense hankering, not necessarily associated with anything. So lolyam is an intense hankering, and that intense hankering by itself can be applied when applied in Krishna consciousness is a very intense hankering. That is what we're looking for in order to be able to serve Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Very, having that intense desire will help us to get there. And that's what we need. And loba in the general sense is greed applied to material wealth. I think that's the distinction.
Thank you.
Which is one of the 6 enemies. Yeah.
Narahari Dev Prabhu, he's actually local for me, although I've not seen him in about 2 years. Figure that one out. When I drove 32 hours to Newfoundland 5 years ago to distribute Prabhupada's books, it was Narahari Dev Prabhu that sent me a couple of extra boxes because I'd run out. So he's my Sankirtan backup partner. I'm very grateful to him. He kept me going, and he blessed the residents of Newfoundland. It was a 12-hour drive across that province, and he helped me to give mercy, Prabhupada's mercy to those people. So I'm indebted to him.
Please, I'm indebted to you. I mean, you've been practicing Krishna consciousness even before I was born. So please, Prabhu.
Boy, you're making me realize that I'm getting to really be an old man. That's for sure.
Sorry, I didn't mean it that way.
No, that's okay. I need a slap of reality regularly. So we haven't heard you speak anything. So if you'd like to read the next paragraph, and all the way from Pakistan, Dr. Nitya Leela Maheshwari has come to bless us with her association. Prabhupada said we're supposed to take the dust from the feet of those who distribute Krishna consciousness in the Muslim countries. So we must all virtually take the dust from Nitya Leela Devi Dasi upon our heads for preaching there. And she's even managed to avoid the jab from all those who are trying to jab her from all sides. She's surrounded by hundreds of jabbing doctors, but Lord Nrsimha is protecting her. Okay, Narahari Prabhu. Okay, all
Please
right.
accept my humble obeisances,
Jai, our obeisance is to you,
everyone.
Jalila. Okay, Narahari Dev Prabhu, not by your good deeds.
Not by your good deeds that you have acquired in your previous innumerable paths. That is not taken into account. Only the recognition of the sincere earnestness within you. The very gist of your ego they want. That is their demand, and that plane is built up with that material. The most sincere path of the heart, that is the material by which that domain has been created. It is eternal, but it is with that substance. Back to home of your eternal inner self. Externally, by so many of our demands for the senses, we are being carried forcefully in this direction and that direction, dragging us here and there. We have to find out our innermost existence. That is to be a member of Vrindavan.
Would you like to say something about this paragraph, Narahari Dev Prabhu, that you really
Prabhu.
appreciate?
No, Prabhu. No, I mean,
Is there something that stood out for you here that you
uh,
really?
yeah, I mean, for me, I think what I can relate to is that the senses are taking you here and there. That,
Yes.
that's my problem. So I can relate to that. The other things are probably way beyond my adhikar. So
I never read this sentence before. It's so beautiful. Back to the home of your eternal inner self. Isn't that beautiful? We usually say back to home, back to Godhead, but that back to Godhead is also our eternal inner self. The home of your eternal inner self. Same thing. It's another way of saying it, isn't it?
And that's what he says at the end. We have to find out that innermost existence.
Mhm. To be a member of Vrindavan. So beautiful.
Prabhuji Gaura, can you make the screen a little bigger, or
Yes, sir.
you went back to the small print?
How's that? Better?
Yeah, that's better. A little. You had it a little bit bigger, but
Nichilila, would you like to start reading this section on confidence?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Confidence. Confidence means Rakshyati Vishwaso, expecting the Lord's protection. That is a particular stage of Sharanagati. I will have so much confidence that He will protect me from any danger. One may run to protect oneself knowing there is danger, but still he is thinking, my guardian will save me. Whom do I care for? I don't care for anyone. He is my master, and he is there on my head. He will protect me. There is no necessity of any apprehension from any quarter at all. Sharanagati reaches to such a zenith, to such a height that not only will he save me, if I go on in a right way, I shall risk everything for the Lord, and if necessary, he may come to my relief. Such auspicious aggression is here. This may be found in all stages.
Audacious,
That
audacious,
particular,
audacious.
oh yeah,
Such
yes,
audacious.
aggression.
You said audacious.
Audacious aggression is there. Yeah. This may be found in all stages. That particular mentality is here in the ordinary soldier. He has got confidence in his general. They may take the risk of entering the camp of enemy thinking the general will come and devastate them. It may be found in many places in many stages of life, but here that confidence is found not in this world. But in the highest quarter, this sort of confidence that for whom do we care? So much indulgence they enjoy, so much confidence they enjoy, so much faith they have in their protector that they don't care about anyone at anything. They will even go to catch a snake or a tiger. I was totally thinking about Gaurav Prabhu. Oh,
What?
sorry. I was thinking about your valor and your magnanimous persona while reading all these things. You're really a soldier. I mean, the work you're doing pertaining to protection of humanity for the larger noble cause is commendable. Not everyone has that courage to go forward in that direction.
I was going to ask you to make a comment, but not that one. But thank you for your kind words. Does anyone have anything to say about this beautiful paragraph that Nicholila just read? Confidence is one of the six aspects of Sharanagati, correct?
Yeah, I felt it in the early days of the movement, that as Sankirtan devotees, we all felt that. I think we all felt that. We went to the most outrageous places. We took the most outrageous risks, dangerous risks even. But I can speak personally that at that time, I felt completely and utterly protected in the most ghastly of places. I mean, we went to the most, outrageous places, but I never felt danger.
Can you give an example of one of those? Can you give an example of one of the outrageous places you went to?
We went to degraded
were-
nightclubs. We went to bars in the Wild West, these huge Canadian bars with like 500 people in them in the middle of nowhere, and everybody's cars plugged in outside in the snow. We had thousands of dollars in our bags. We were never attacked.
And the people were drunk.
Yeah, we went to the what were they called? The Arctic Games up in the Arctic area, where people were skinning rabbits and tossing logs around, the most outrageous situations. That we were just selling Bhagavad Gitas on the Husky Dog finishing lines. I mean, crazy, crazy stuff. And yet I never felt unprotected. I remember walking into the Arab embassy in Delhi and insisting, on seeing some kind of diplomat there, and giving them a Bhagavad Gita. I mean, it was just, that's what comes through in that paragraph, because I know that in my early life, I really experienced that.
I remember one time Pragosh Prabhu, the book distributor, God brother, he was giving a class at our Toronto temple and in the 80s, and he was saying going on book distribution each day is just like the Gopas, Krishna's cowherd friends, walking into the mouth of Aghasura. There's giant Aghasura with his mouth wide open, and the cowherd boys are like, oh, wow, what kind of adventure are we going to have today? And anyhow, Krishna's going to protect us no matter what happens. And I was thinking, wow, what a cool meditation. I'm going into the mouth of Aghasura today, and let's see how and I'm going with Krishna. Krishna's going to be with me, and let's see what Krishna's going to do today. It's very inviting, isn't it? Like if you're adventurous, if you have an adventurous spirit, right?
I want to mention something, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
This is at the end of Shama Sundar's third book. And the ending of it is almost the best part. Brought me to tears. His love for Prabhupada, his relationship with him is just unbelievable. And his adoration, his complete trust in Prabhupada. He said he never saw him make a mistake. There are so many amazing things. And he said, this is one of the last paragraphs of the book, I don't often lecture in public, but when I do, devotees often ask, well, how do you keep your spiritual strength? And my answer these days is Prabhupada has given you the greatest gift. You have mystic powers. Now use them to see Krishna everywhere. Play with Krishna and expect magic.
Wow.
Wow.
He likes to use that term, and Jamuna Devi also like to use the term, and Guru Das like to use the term Krishna magic.
When you see Krishna's hand, you're just talking about it. Nanda Patni was just talking about it, going to all these places and seeing the miracles that happen. Come on, folks, that's not like ordinary. That's Krishna's hand involved directly. And so we can feel that. He's saying all the time, if we have the eyes and the heart, we've been given this gift. And he says, now use them to see Krishna everywhere, play with Krishna, and expect magic. Love it, right?
And it's only when we put ourselves, at least in my not so humble opinion, when we put ourselves out on a limb for Krishna, that's
Yeah.
when we see the Krishna magic.
Yes. Like you were just saying,
Yeah.
waking up every day and seeing what is Krishna going to do today, and just trying to follow the inner guidance to be part of that, that thread, being able to be have that gift to be guided and then see what happens, how Krishna works so beautifully in our lives, if we're willing to be his instruments, huh?
Yes, the Bhavatrini has a point she'd like to share.
Nuri Hari.
Okay.
Yeah, it just reminded me of the early days, and I loved, reading Shamasundar book, and also, I mean, even Gargamuni was, they will call it, with something like that, it will happen. We said, oh, mystical. So this is the beginning when the first dictaphone came about, and Gargamuni got it in the shop, and they have list of instructions or whatever, but Prabhupada, he says, Prabhupada, I can go over this and like that, and Prabhupada said, no, just go, it's fine. And in no time, Prabhupada already was working it, no problem. And then they needed a transcriber, and the next day, right out their door, they come into a much less gift. This man who was a young man who was in college, and he knew how to use the dictaphone, so he started. So they call those moments mystical. But I was just remember the early days when I first joined, and it was just like three of us. There was a sannyas that opened the temple, and he would tell us that Prabhupada said, if you make 1 million, spend 1 million. Brahmins never keep anything. And anyway, he's really, and said, yeah, let me show you. The sannyas would say to us, to me and my sister, with like 2-3 devotees to do it. And we would spend, we had allocation for, of course, the rent, and to be able to print, our little leaflets. We didn't have many books; it's about 3 books, and we would use the money would be gone, but and we didn't think about what we're gonna eat or like that. But it always manifested. It was really magical moments because out of the blue, we were going to a new town, and we kept going farther and farther away from the capital, and because after a while people didn't, they had already the leaflets or whatever it was, but we had people coming out of nowhere where we were like, we didn't care if where we're gonna sleep tonight. It wasn't in our minds, and the sannyasa said, just trust Krishna, trust, there's magic in it, and so we were walking, and many times people come and say, please come, and this businessman came out of nowhere, and he said, come to my house, bless my house, you're all invited to come and stay. So many times it's like that. But the other time that, and Buenos Aires was a very difficult place. We were thrown bottles and attacked in Sankirtan, but every day we just, Prabhupada inspiration, it was like amazing. It was flowing through our sannyas, and and to us, giving us really fearlessness. And so we had, in one end, we had the communists running at us with sticks, try to beat us. And on the other side, we had the police chasing us because they thought we were, some kind of a branch of hippies. And down there, they wanted, so they finally, when I registered a society, the Secret Service took me they interrogated me for about 3 or 4 days. And it was amazing what came out of my mouth. I mean, it was Prabhupada's putting in it, and Prabhupada's talking, and they threatened our lives. It was just two of us, and the other devotee was, at times a little scared because he was from the north, Argentina, and he was native, and then so they would focus on that, the police interrogating, and he was a little. But then after a while, I said, no, Prabhupada, is protecting us. Krishna is protecting us. So I really felt that it was his grace coming down to make us really fearless. And so, like Nayapani says, we went to really risky places. We go anywhere and everywhere. The conviction came from, actually, it was Srila Prabhupada. And inspiration are older godbrothers, they went through so many things, and sleeping under bridges or like that. I was reading about Sridhar Maharaj. He used to go everywhere in India, Bhakti Rakshas, and we read in his commentary. And then one time they had to go to, they went to Kurukshetra, and with a godbrother, and there was no place for them to stay. And it was so cold, they slept under a bridge and hugging each other, So, but was there any time of fear? No, it was.
I would love to mention one other thing if I could.
Please.
So also, there are no mistakes, and there's no perfect behavior. So as I'm learning I'm getting to know Gurudas very well. He's a close friend now, and Shama Sundar through his book, and they were very eccentric. They weren't ordinary straight arrow devotees. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like Shama Sundar spent 40 years mining for gems in all parts of the world, dealing with snakes and tigers and being chased by wild animals, and very adventuresome, very not quite like Brahminical behavior as we expect devotees to be. But you know what, folks? His adventuresome spirit and Gurudas's hippie, kooky, way. Gurudas is also an eccentric character, was exactly who assisted Prabhupada to do this miraculous spreading of Krishna consciousness in the very early days. It's like mind-blowing that they were who they were, drug dealing. I don't know. I think Shama Sundar was saying he dropped 1,100 hits of LSD on San Francisco, before he became a devotee. Like eccentric, like anything. And yet the perfect people to chase rhinos with the Swami. Nobody else could do it. Who else could become the best friends of the Beatles and George Harrison? And, they were who they were. And I think that's really wonderful for us to remember, that they were very unique and not just ordinary, but they had quite wild spirits. And yet Krishna used them. Krishna used them in his service so beautifully.
And they're also both of them, they're very tender-hearted, even though they're both wild childs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think their hearts are the things that probably got them so close to Prabhupada.
I had that personal experience. I was staying at Chaupati Temple, I don't know, 10 years ago, whatever it was. I'd called up Jayadvaita Swami. I said, Maharaj, I've got to get a bridge built, and the dentist says it costs $2,000. I don't have that kind of money. Do you know a cheap dentist I could go to get a bridge? And he said, call Murari, can't remember his name, Murli Krishna.
Seva.
He's one of Jai Radhanath Swami's disciples at Chaupati. He'll do it because you're Prabhupada's disciple. He'll do it just for the cost of the materials. So I got his email and he said, "Yes, come over. I'll just charge you for my materials. It's about $400, but the fly there is about $1,500. So it still comes up to $2,000. But I would get some teeth work done in the process of being able to go to India. So somehow or other, I came up with the funds. And then while I was there for a week getting work done or two, devotees kept asking me, "Are you going to go to the Pune Yatra? Are you going to go to the Pune Yatra?" I said, "Pune Yatra? What's that?" "Oh, your godbrothers and godsisters will be there. Shama Sundar will be there. Guru Das will be there. Malati will be there." And I said, "Wow, gee, I wouldn't want to miss them. I'd love to hear how they brought Krishna to the Beatles." Because I know that's what they can often talk about and what I enjoy hearing about too. So I went. And each of them went up to speak. And then they said, "Okay, Gaura Prabhu, it's your turn to speak now." I said, "Me? They're in the big league. I'm just a little small timer. I'm in the little leagues. Don't ask me." And they said, "No, no, it's your turn to speak now." And I thought, wow, everyone's going to find out how much of a fool I am. So I was sort of off in the wings there where Shamsundar was sitting in a shady spot, watching people sitting up on this big Vyasasan with big white cushion. And I was going by him. I said, "I don't know why they're asking me." He said, "You'll do just fine. You'll do." And I was feeling Sham Sundar's love, like a big brother, like you'll do good. Don't worry. You'll do just fine. And so I got up there and I quoted my favorite Bhagavad Gita verse, Machchita madgata pranas poriyantas parasparam katayantas chamang nityang tushanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my devotees, my pure devotees dwell in me, and they derive transcendental pleasure, enlivening one another and conversing about me. More or less, I think that's it. And then I said, I first heard the name of Krishna in John Lennon singing "Elementary Penguins" singing "Hare Krishna, boy you've been," and so I was 13 years old when that record "I Am the Walrus" came out on the hit parade, and I'm like, a penguin. First of all, a penguin singing. Later found out that penguin was actually Allen Ginsberg, because he would wear a little tuxedo before he would recite his poetry. But before he would recite his poetry, Allen Ginsberg had a little shruti box, like a little mini harmonium, but without keys, just a drone box. And he'd sing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So he was the elementary penguin singing Hare Krishna. And I didn't know that at the time. But I looked up in Encyclopedia Britannica. I had a set my parents got me when I was 13. My mom got me. And it said Krishna was the Hindu god of love, the god of the forest. So that was my first samskara. Like, wow, the god of love, because it was the age of peace and love, right? 60s, 70s, and the god of the forest. And that was like a whole different approach to a god that he's going to send you to hell forever. And he's got a big dog, long beard, and like just kind of a scary god. Not a playful blue god that has a flute and it's got lots of pals and cows in the forest. Much more attractive. Anyway, that was the beginning for me. And then as the Beatles kept continuing putting out records, everybody's talking about John and Yoko, Timmy Leary, Norman Mailer, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. All we are saying is give peace a chance. That was 69. Anyway, I said that I always would have liked to have gone to George Harrison, because when he came out with that album the next year, Beware of Darkness, Beware of Maya, while chanting the names of the Lord and you'll be free. The Lord is awaiting on us all to awaken and see. My sweet Lord, Hare Krishna. I remember when that triple album came out, it was huge. It was the first album by any of the Beatles after the end of breaking up the band. So all of that had a huge effect on me. And I said, I always wanted to thank George for giving so much Krishna consciousness to me. But I said, actually, if it wasn't for these three Grihastha couples, Mukunda Goswami, Janaki, Guru Das, Yamuna, Shamasundar, Malati, I wouldn't even be here right now. And I said, I wanted to offer my obeisances to George, but actually it's to them that I offer I started crying. I was getting overwhelmed and I was trying to hold back the tears because I didn't want people to think I was a sahaja, which I am anyway. So I got off and I paid my obeisances to all of them. And as I was walking back past the stage, Shamasundar was still sitting there and he said, "You gave the best talk of all." I don't think I
Oh,
did, but I'm just saying, I'm just making the point that of Nandapatni, that they had to have really good hearts to do what
oh,
they.
that's so beautiful. Thank you for that
Yeah.
story.
So yeah, I feel very fortunate. And I feel very fortunate to be here with you. You're all Krishna's mercy upon me. And so Monday we'll continue hearing about Satyajit. It is such a complicated story. I was thinking, wow, just because of the Shamataka jewel, there's like so much intrigue surrounding a jewel, surrounding, like a precious stone and I think it's called the killing of Satyajit, isn't it? Or killing of such a,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes,
we'll,
it is. Bhava's confirming.
yeah.
She's not.
More Dwarka pastimes to remind us that we want to go to Vrindavan.
Yeah.
We
So
like
that'll be
all
on
of
So
Monday.
beautiful.
What you were saying, Nandapatni?
we like all of Krishna.
Yes.
Every square inch.
Yes, all of his dams.
Do you know that I'm reading Sri Radha, the Supreme Shelter? It's a book, a compilation, Srila Narayan Maharaj. It's Srila Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada's lectures. It's all the glories of Srimati Radharani. It's one of the best books I've ever read. And it's talking about the pastimes of Mahaprabhu in Puri are actually in the mode of Aishwarya, and his, what do you call them? Navatara pastimes are in Navadvip, where he's like just friends with everybody. But it says that nobody can do, Narayan Maharaj said, nobody can do what Mahaprabhu did in Puri, in the Gambhira. That is Aishwarya. His elongating body, his extreme man, that's opulence. I mean, so I was just thinking about what we were talking about before. There's Aishwarya and there's
Oh,
the,
Daria, isn't there?
I think it's Audarya because Aishwarya, that doesn't sound right for the Gambhira.
Yeah,
it's like what it is because no human can do those things that he did.
right.
Those
He
pastimes.
went right through the walls of the Gambhira.
Yeah, he showed opulence. I mean, I was just reading that. And so we were talking about, and the reason that we want to be in Vrindavan in that role is because that gives Krishna the most pleasure. There's no pleasure like he gets from the gopi. Like he gets from the gopis the highest pleasure of all. And that's the goal, right? To give Krishna pleasure. So that's the reason we want to be in that role. It gives the ultimate pleasure to Krishna.
This last point in the Nectar of Instruction, what is it? Rakshishati Krishna, that I'm confident that Krishna will help me in my execution of devotional service, or that I'll always be protected. And the way I've always related to this verse is when we're trying really hard to do something for Krishna, whether it's to get out so many books or whether it's to, try to make more devotees. Of course, I was much more in that spirit when I lived in the temple.
Buying property, building temples.
Building temples, yeah, but having all kinds of obstacles and things getting in the way and feeling frustrated, and
Yeah.
you just want to please Prabhupada, you want to please Krishna, and there's so many things getting in the way, and how this point about being confident that Krishna will see me through. And also, I think perhaps being confident that Krishna will help me perhaps is the opposite of thinking that I'm the doer and it's because of me that this is going to happen. Or
Vaishashika talks about that really in such a lovely way. When you go out on the street and you're humbled by absolutely nobody taking a book that day, right? And you're quite an experienced distributor and whatnot. But there's this, it's not that Krishna needs the results. It's all about our own marginum, if you will, you know. So it's there's an internal thing going on, because, you know, you might build so many temples and sell so many books and all this kind of thing. And actually on the external side, many of us got that wrong. I mean, I know I did, especially when we used to get into the competition. I mean, I got over fixated on the numbers and trying to beat the brahmacharis and all that stuff. But, you know, there has to be this internal development going on. And I think that Srila Sridhar Maharaj was talking earlier about the earnestness of the heart, the internal, I forget exactly that little sentence that you liked about going back home, back to our internal, the home of our internal self.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a very nice reminder, our home of our internal self.
And we'll see later in this commentary how he again repeats the theme that our environment is our friend, that it's a friendly environment, even though it may seem, oh, this is, you know, like I live in a building with 8 people who are all carnivores and they're heavily medicated instead of meditated, and a couple of alcoholics, and the guy next door is a total pothead. You just walk into the hallway and you get stoned just smelling the air. But somehow or other, I'm here. I'm trying to understand that Krishna has me here.
You're in your Rupa Goswami Samadhi, no less.
That's just to, well, to put myself in that headspace. Yes.
Absolutely. You're beyond the modes, Gora, beyond the modes.
I wish.
Not only is everything, Srila Sridhar Maharaj says every wave is favorable.
Wow.
Every wave is favorable. Right?
So it's all in the attitude then.
Yeah, because you keep tacking, you keep turning your sails into the wind to go, you know, back home. So whether it doesn't really matter what's going on externally for
outside. So true.
Yeah, it's all about your internal landscape.
Wow.
Well said.
Far out.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, well, great. It's 9:30 p.m. here in Erin, Ontario, Canada. And thanks so much for coming. And look forward to seeing you for Krishna Book, God willing, on Monday, same time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And I put the slideshow up of Gurudas's slideshow thing. It's up on my Facebook page.
Okay, well, I can't get there anymore because I've been suspended. So, yeah, if you can, because Daneshvar is asking me, what are the links of Rasangi? What are the links? I said, I don't know. I don't know. So if you can send them to me, where can you send them?
So what about you still, people have your email, Gora?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I don't know. And I could send it on WhatsApp, maybe? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
You're on WhatsApp, Gora.
Yeah. You're on WhatsApp, is that right, Rasangi?
Yeah, but I'm not sure how to send anything on WhatsApp, how to send it through WhatsApp, but I'll look into it.
Just copy and paste and put the link.
Email it to him.
Yeah. Yeah, you can email it to me.
Yeah.
I'll work on it. I'm not that techie, but I got them up on Facebook. I'm happy about that.
But they're not in the YouTube? You don't have a YouTube of it?
I don't have a YouTube channel or anything.
Oh. So
what's your email, Gora?
Gora_ACBSP @yahoo.com.
Gora_AC
BSP @yahoo.com.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
If I get it, then I'll send it to Daneshwar Prabhu.
Can you do that? Nanda Patni, do you know how to do that? Can you share it to him?
I'm not sure how to poach it off your site.
Or you can share. There's a share button.
Oh, yes.
And
to an email. Okay, I'll try it.
There's 2 videos. one
Yeah.
with the slideshow and then one with questions and answers. And he
Okay.
talked all about his marriage to Jamuna, which
Oh.
was really cool. That was so cool. Really, he has so much respect for her. They were together before. I mean, it's far out. So
Yeah,
make
he
sure
speaks about that on his second book too.
it's about his new book, the called The Swami Who Saved the Worlds.
Rocked the world.
Rock the Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
In
it's
his second book too, he talks about Jamuna and his meeting.
I asked because what was it like being married to Jamuna? So he talked.
Can you remember something about that? Did you want to end the evening on that? It stood out for you?
Well, she definitely became serious and so attached to Srila Prabhupada. Would you remember anything, Baba?
About what?
Jamuna and her relationship with Gurudas. You know, they were hippies together. They came together, but he attributes that she brought him to Prabhupada, that it was
Nice.
Jamuna who brought him to Prabhupada. And
Yes, because she went to attend the wedding,
the wedding of her
Yeah.
sister.
Her sister.
Janaki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was making samosas, but she'd want to light up a cigarette. She'd go outside, and Prabhupada would say, "Go wash your hands." And he told her that about 10 times while she was rolling samosas. Go wash your hands. Go wash your hands. Go wash your hands.
And you know, I mean, it was really amazing. All that she was so qualified in so many ways and so serious and focused. You know, George Harrison wanted to make her a star, but she said no. She didn't want that. She just
One time, George Harrison was in Vrindavan. He came to visit Prabhupada. I think it was in Vrindavan.
Yeah.
And Jamuna was there. And as soon as George saw her, he jumped up and he grabbed her in front of all the sannyasis. He grabbed her and he gave her a big kiss. All the sannyasis were really quite surprised.
Yeah, we owe everything to those six, really. To all the older devotees, but those six really just, you know, did so much to spread the movement and help us all become Krishna conscious.
Yeah, we're indebted for sure.
Indebted.
My obeisances to everyone. Vanchakalpa, Trubhischa, Krishna, Patitana, Pavanibhyo,
Oh,
Vaishnavibhyo.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Nirhari Prabhu, I need to speak to you in Bavatrini for just a moment. So after I end this, could you just come back for a minute?
Yeah, or we'll stay where we are.
Okay, that's good. It's good right now. Actually, maybe okay, Rasangi was here, but that's fine. Yeah, so this is the advice that I wanted to get from you too. So I was very grateful. Mahabudhi Prabhu came about a half an hour in advance, and so I thought, oh great, we're going to have some nectar from Mahabudhi today. And when he was speaking, I mean, I liked how he turned the tables on me and put me on the spot because wow, okay. I need to reflect here, and it was good. It was good. And I also, as he spoke, between the two of you or the three of you elaborating, I was reminded of how I heard how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur discussed the first. Actually, this is all being recorded. I want to end this. Let me stop the video. Okay, good. All right. No, but it's still recording on YouTube. So
This is live on YouTube. That's all we have on the upper corner.
Live on. I'm going to end this. Can you just come back, please? Can you just come back? Because I don't want to record this for the whole world.